Alright, how's everybody doing? This is Jonathan Kylie with Fly Skinz. What I'm going to show you today is a leech pattern that I'm developing and working on, because every fly to me is a work in progress. This one has worked over the past weekend with some bass that are about to bed down, it seems like, but they're not quite in full spawn yet. What I'm going to do today is make a leech pattern with Exoskin. This is the purple and olive. I'm going to use a piece of foam for a tail to make it a floating leech. And what I'm going to do is put the hook through the tip, which is great because what happens most of the time is a fish will grab a hold of a worm or something and it'll pull it away and you think that you've got them and they haven't engulfed the whole thing yet. So what I want to do is make essentially is a leech with the hook in the end. So all they have to do is just grab the tip and then you're good to go. Alright, so how I'm going to do this today is I'm going to basically put some thread on this piece of foam. I just cut it and then shaped it with a lighter a little bit just to make it look a little less, you know, foamy, square, I guess you could say. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to take some thread and I'm going to use this. It's a Gammarus hook made by Arex. It's a size 2. I've been using this hook a lot lately with minnow patterns and a bunch of other stuff because it's got a really wide gape. It's great for bass. It's super strong. I really like this particular brand. I've been messing around with it for maybe about 6 months now. I've had them in my possession and it's been working out great for me. So I just want to build a thread base on here, and that way I have something for the foam to stick to, because the next part is a little different. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is grab my super glue, a little super glue on the back where I want the foam, and I'm going to put it like right here. Hold it for a few seconds, and as you'll see, it's going to be right where I want it. Okay? Alright. One thing I got to do next is I'm going to take it's actually braided line that you'd find for traditional fishing. And I'm going to go ahead and tie my loop here, because what's going to happen is my other end is not going to have a hook in it. Okay? So I'm just going to tie my knot. Doesn't matter which knot you use as long as you're comfortable with it holding the load of the fish. Okay? Alright. Once that's on there, you can see now that I've got foam on the back there in this configuration. Okay? Alright. So I have my Exoskin. I want to cut 2 long strips long enough to basically encase that piece of foam. So I'm going to take my razor scissors here. These are the new ones by Loon. They're great. I love them. The reason why I love them is they have small serrations in them, and that actually helps cut and grab the Exoskin excellently. Is it excellently even a word? I'll have to look that one up later. Alright. So I'm cutting 2 strips about 3/4 of an inch long, or wide, I'm sorry, in the whole length of the worm, or the leech that we'll do. So that's 6 inches, because it's a 4x6 sheet there with the Exoskin. I'm going to take some of my super glue, and I'm going to end up putting it on both sides. Okay. Before I do that, I want to take the hook and foam out, and I'm going to have to pierce through the Exoskin so that this is ready to press from the outside. So I'm just going to put it in the center. Okay. Pierce it through. It's ready to go. Put this in, back in the vise. I'm going to take my super glue. I'm going to hold this Exo out of the way. Just fold it up. Just want to coat the foam, backside here, the sides of the foam. It has something to stick to, the back of the foam, the the whole thing, you get it. Put that aside. I'm going to come down, I'm going to lay this, work this down the hook here. It's going to attach there, okay? I'm going to come with up with my other piece of EXO here. I'll lay it on top. I'm going to pop it out of the vise. I'm just going to press firmly and hold it until it all bonds together. And it doesn't take very long. You could also incorporate a weed guard into this. It would work great. Alright, so what I did was essentially is I skinned this piece of foam, made sure that the whole thing was encapsulated into it. Okay? And as you press it along here, you can actually see how it takes shape of the foam. It's kind of neat. See? Alright. If you miss any or didn't get enough glue on there, it's pretty easy. Just open it back up. Yeah, I need a little more there on the tip. I showed this technique at the Atlanta Fly Show, so I just didn't do it with a hook yet because I was making an evolution part of this. I know some folks have been asking me to make some other videos, and this one was too good not to go ahead and knock out. Okay? Alright. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my razor scissors and I'm going to cut the leech out essentially now. Okay? Make sure you don't cut your braided line in there. Pretty sure there's no other pattern out here like this. If someone else has done it, then I just didn't catch it. Alright, one thing you can do is you can pull that braided line out to the side once you get the shape down. And I'm just going to cut down. I'm cutting through both pieces. Just doing basically a strip straight down. Okay. There goes something off my bench. Pull this through the other side here so I don't cut the braid. You can make it wavy, you can make it straight. I don't think it really matters. A little bit of movement or shape doesn't hurt. Alright, so what I've created essentially is a floating leech with that hook in the end, so that when I just grab that end, you got them. Alright, I got my braided line through here. What the EXO likes to do is it actually likes to grab itself whenever you cut it. Just, I don't know why, but it does. Alright, so what I've done to save some time is I have bent a shank with some lead in it. Right here. I've bent it first, put some thread down, lead on it, and then I bent it again. Okay? So this is what I'm going to tie this tail to. And that piece of cordage or braid. Okay, doesn't really matter what way you do it here, as long as you've secured it. You know, you got to think about the size braid you want to use with the size fish you're going after. It's pretty critical. Alright, I think I'm using a 40 pound. I don't believe that I'll catch a 40 pound bass, but you never know. Just kidding. Alright, so I'm going to just secure this braid up and down the hook, or I'm sorry, the shank here. Nothing special. Wrap it back and forth a few times to help lock it in. And then I'm going to utilize some of the other exo that I just cut off. It's excess from that leech that I made. So you have a few extra pieces here. I'm just going to leave them doubled up, make it thicker. Cut it into a point real quick. Oh, scissors here. Okay. All I'm trying to do is make it nice and finished. Tie that down. Cool part is you don't have to worry about fouling either. That's a big problem with huge patterns, or I'm sorry, patterns with, you know, leeches or worms or anything with a tail. Is the fouling part. Okay, I'm gonna build up a nice, cool looking body here. And this is gonna sink fast too, which is nice because, you know, it's kind of hard to make a pattern that does everything you want it to do, to include the sinking part, especially with worm patterns, because, you know, you're fly fishing, and unless you put a ton of weight on it, it's not going to sink like you want. But this particular one will, because it's just cutting through the water. It's a very narrow piece here. Cut that off, and then tie it in. One thing I would probably do is make sure I got a right amount of glue on this thing afterwards, because this is going to take the brunt of the dragging on the bottom. Haven't had an issue with it yet. It's been working great. I usually just slap some super glue on there and call it good. Might actually help to do the whip finish or the bending part later, but I wanted to show you what I meant first. Okay, that on there. Go ahead and put some super glue, and that's a pretty fast pattern, and it's effective. So it's a freaking beautiful thing here. Exoskin can be used for a ton of different things, and I'm still coming up with new ways to use it. And this thing, pretty deadly here. It's a way that you can worm while fly fishing. Check that out. I'm gonna call it the Dirty Leech, because that's just dirty, you know? All they gotta do is grab the tip. Alright, thanks for watching.